All right. Look at that. First try again. That never happens lately. The audio's always messed up first try, so that's why my shows seem like they have an abrupt beginning usually, because I've been talking for a minute and want to talk some more. Welcome everyone who has made it to another episode of a Toking Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse. 2020 has been the death of one really important thing to all of us potheads, and that is the death of smoke sessions. So I figured, why not have a little virtual smoke session? And until I figure out guest technology, that means that it's going to be me talking at you for 30 some minutes while we get really high. So why don't we start with the getting really high? I'm going to use my fun new lighter, Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. On the back, it's even got a little caricature, or I guess, I don't know what those photos are called. Either way, they're outlines of them. It's actually a pretty neat little grinder. Top is just, regular spokes. So you untwist it, which I've already done a couple times. And you got your bud chamber and nothing else to untwist. But if you just pull it out, you can get your little cube chamber down there. I've never seen it where you can actually just pull it out, and it is fun technology. I gotta say I'm for it. So we're gonna start with flour tonight, because I saw the Sherlock sitting out, and it was speaking to me on a different level, actually. It really wanted to be utilized, so off we go. Tut-tut. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this November 1st episode that I didn't start until well into November 2nd. Jesus. I use the Smoke Buddy because we live with Mrs. Allen's family, and I'm sure they don't want to be smelling it as often. Every once in a while, you got to take that hit where you just kind of let it hold on to it for a little bit longer than you feel like, just to kind of imbibe in, to get into the right mode for what you need. And it was definitely that hit. That definitely helped with that. So why not do another? If you insist. God, such demanding fans. I fucking love these Smoke Buddies. They're not all this big. I just bought the big excessive one because we use them quite a bit. They're nice. Tell you what, we're going to finish this bowl before we start taking dabs. So last night, I don't know if you guys had seen on my personal Facebook, if anyone's watching from that. If you're not, I did get the opportunity to go to the Movies pop-up restaurant in Chicago yesterday. Movies being the fictional restaurant from the Kevin Smith universe movies. It's very prominent in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. It's not in Mallrats, I don't think. It may not be in Chasing Amy, but it's been in quite a lot of his movies, and he started to open a pop-up restaurant in certain places for a couple weeks at a time at most. Just a week here in Chicago. It's cold. I get it. And they have vegan and non-vegan options because Kevin Smith, shortly after his heart attack, very famously went vegan. So, very, very good restaurant. If you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence about it, I highly recommend going onto the website for moviespopup.com and making the reservation for Chicago. You're not allowed to eat in the restaurant. Great ambiance, a lot of fun pictures around. The food is delicious. $30 per person. You get to go inside. You get a sandwich and a side included with that. So it's not too bad for the price. I ended up spending quite a bit more than that on merch, and I also got a Quick Stop cocktail, which was a whiskey and Coke that was way too light to be whiskey and Coke. I ended up drinking that till I was at home. But highly recommend going if you feel like doing it. The place is very safe. Especially since they're doing appointments only, they weren't really following that format last night, but when I went last night, that's also because Kevin and Jason Mewes were there. So, but a very good restaurant. The food was awesome. I got the egg movie muffin and a side of hater tots. They were delicious. Both of them were. And I know for a fact that what I'm getting on Tuesday when I go, because I had already scheduled to go with Mrs. Allen when she wasn't available to go today, is the vegan cow tipper, which I've had before because you were able to order a box of them. And I definitely did that because I'm excessive. Oh, so good. Fantastic. Just thinking about it right now, I'm getting excited. So it was a very neat place to head to. I highly recommend the movies. What was upsetting was it was a picture with Kevin J, and then they would sign something for you, and the restaurant kind of did me a little dirty, which I wasn't crazy about, but you know what? I ended up getting to get an awesome picture in front of the sign that says, "I sure you were open," with myself, Kevin Smith, and Jason Mewes. So that is awesome for me, and I got a couple things signed. So show you the things I got signed. So what I went to get signed was Issues of Quiver. If you watched the previous Token Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse, I definitely mentioned that on there. And I got them signed. So I got Quiver issue 7 and Quiver issue 10. Both of them got signed by Kevin. They were personalizing for people, so I do wish that I was able to get them personalized and that I wasn't stuck outside when I was, but I got a ton of shit signed by Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, and I didn't even know Jason Mewes was going to be there, so that was an absolute surprise to me. Next, we had to buy a figure so I could get stuff, even though I already bought stuff earlier. So I ended up having to buy a pre-signed figure that they signed when they got there that day, and they signed it again for me as well. So I just had Jay do that because it was a Jay figure. So the black signature came on there already when I got it, and then he added in the gray one for me, or the green one, gray. Bull's already hitting me, which I really enjoy because there's an exclamation point, and it makes me feel pretty good about it. And I got a little 2-minute hallway conversation with Kevin to tell him how much he meant to me and how much I love his little That Kevin Smith Club. So that was awesome. Quit talking about it and start smoking about it. Yeah, okay, all right. But the atmosphere was neat. There was a lot of really cool Kevin Smith fans there. A lot of people dressed up. I myself couldn't find my pea coat that I utilized when I dressed up as Silent Bob. So last night I went as Silent Bob cosplaying as Clark Kent, which was pretty much just my Clark Kent outfit with a black and gray Superman shirt underneath, because I feel like that would be Silent Bob's preferred suit of his, and the backwards cap, white dress shirt, Superman tie thrown over my shoulder. And I had my hair down so you could see the longness, like he has it in those movies. So it was fun. There's someone in the full Loki garb from Dogma with the feathers sticking out and everything. That looked fucking dope. And they were from McHenry, which made it even cooler. Got to talk to them a little bit. They were going to the show tonight. That happened this evening as well at the drive-in. But they ended up... and they went to the pop-up last night. And Dogma, which he was cosplaying from, is set in Kentucky, where they're from and where the drive-in show was. So it's a whole fun little thing. It's definitely enjoyable. My apologies for the noise of the torch. It's kind of unavoidable, unfortunately. What I was contemplating having signed last night is my Jersey Local Union Brotherhood of Dealers card. I have a Silent Bob one of those that a friend of mine for 22 years gave to me, which is one of my favorite things in the world. I thought about getting it signed. I ultimately decided not to go with it. I asked the guy for a lanyard, and then I looked in my bag when I was walking out, and I noticed that he gave me this thing instead. Still fun, but I wanted the lanyard, and I would not be surprised that if you come to my show on... That'll probably end up being Wednesday's show. You come to my show on Wednesday, I'm going to have a lanyard. I don't want to spend more money, but I want that lanyard. So, but a fun employee badge is still really neat. I definitely enjoy that. I like the movies apparel. I wish I had that kind of deep pockets. And in that segue, leading into my new OnlyFans page so I can afford fun movies apparel. Just kidding. And as of last night, I was not going to the show this evening. Initially, when the tickets had dropped for them, they're like $250 for two people in like the middle rows. And I wasn't going to do it because it was a lot of money, and they severely dropped in price to where they're about $70. Still kind of battling it, publishing some more money on that right now. And my mother, who I will not call out by name because I'm not exactly being the greatest son in this video. My fantastic mother bought me a ticket so I could go to that drive-in show tonight. So out of the 3 days that Kevin Smith was here in Chicago doing stuff, I saw him 2 of them. So that was really neat. It was a very fun experience. I'm super thankful of her for grabbing that for me. I went with a buddy because Mrs. Allen was interning and Mama Allen was working, so I ended up going with a buddy. And I went by that merch table, but only because they have gifts for that Kevin Smith Club members. So I got a Jay and Silent Bob Get Old poster signed by both of them. Different signature for Jason Mewes in this one. Interesting. And in the poster that I got yesterday that I ended up bequeathing to a friend, I do think I will be getting another one. He signed it with the snooch. So interesting variations on his. I love it with the snooch. That might be my favorite. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that on the chair so that doesn't warp at all. And it was a very fun show. Anyone who's never been to or listened to the Jay and Silent Bob Get Old podcast, it is a show that they did to ensure Jason's sobriety years ago. And now they have so much fun doing it, whereas Jason's kind of solidified in it. But they still do the important things like ask him how long it's been and stuff. So it's a fun show. I had a lot more fun than I thought I was going to. Go figure, you know. But it was any excuse to see Kevin Smith is enjoyable for me because I'm all about him. Be it podcasts, movies, stand-up, comic books, fucking acting, nerd culture enjoyments. Like, I'm about him. Very good podcast. Very enjoyable to be there and part of it. And hearing some of the fun stuff about McHenry, Illinois, and why that was used in Dogma. I'm not going to go into that stuff. Definitely make sure you listen to that episode of the podcast. Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. I think it'll be number 241. It'll be the most recent one. The one that would have happened November 1st. But very good episode. Definitely recommend listening to that series in general if you've never listened to them, because they are quite a bit of fun. It's inspiring me to go back through and listen because Jason Mewes has been sober for over 10 years and they've been doing the show for over 10 years. So it'd be fun to hear those this whole time. So definitely something I was glad I got to be a part of a show for. And big props, whoop whoop, to Mama Allen for making that happen. And she already knows it's big props to making it happen for her, but I got to mention it here. Probably going to mention it on the other podcast because that's how thankful I was. So yeah, that's why that's all I'm thinking about right now, because my past 2 days have been filled with it. Way more than normally allowed. Because I like that they're doing special stuff for his club members that go. But the people that went in Los Angeles to the movies pop-up that were that Kevin Smith Club members, or to the drive-in show that they did, they got to go to the Smod Castle with Kevin that is just being built. Like, that's fucking awesome. I'll gladly take the poster. That's really cool too. But damn. The Smod Castle. Makes me wish I lived in Los Angeles, or even went to Los Angeles for that. In anticipation, I put down Power Rangers today after finishing Lightspeed Rescue and watched a bunch more Kevin Smith, because that's what I like to do. That's what I'm about. Hope everyone. And see, those are the good little gems that are come out of this show. Hi, fucking up talking. Hopefully everyone's feeling nice and toasty. If you're not, follow my lead. Hack up another. I do enjoy this show. That's reasons number 1, 2, and 3 why I love this show. Getting to show off all this glass that I have for no goddamn reason. There's quite a few things that are in this domicile that have maybe been used once just because we're not crazy about them, but we like to have them to show off. And I'm going to show them off here. Just started a fast. Was that 2.5 hours ago? And I'm going for 48 hours, 52 specifically, but I'm going to hit that at a weird point of night. So, yeah, I'm not going to hit 52 hours until like 3:30 in the morning, Wednesday. And about it. Yeah, Wednesday, 3:30 in the morning. And that is not a good time for that. Hour 52 is like this fabled time in your fast when you're supposed to have this really good mental clarity. And the way that I fast, it usually ends up being later at night because I get munchies. But what I'm trying to do now to kind of combat that is my fasting times are only... My fasting time on a daily basis is 20 hours out of the day. So I'm eating for 4 hours out of the day. So I'm trying to move that time earlier in the day and then not smoke during that time of the day. So then I'm not thinking about eating and smoking at the same time. If I'm smoking, that means I'm not allowed to eat. So that's what I'm trying to do to help myself disassociate food and toking. And disassociation is probably the hardest part of breaking habits. It's like anyone who's ever been a cigarette smoker knows. You get in your car, or you get halfway on your route, you pop out of your car so you pad your time with it and everything. Like you automatically plan on it. So like starting to not plan on it and breaking yourself away from that is such a challenging thing. But I've proven quite a few times over quarantine to myself that I can do more than I think I can. So I enjoy kind of pushing the limit on that stuff and seeing how far I can disassociate. I knew no one was going to be here for this show, and I planned on talking the whole time. And because of that, we're not hitting those natural lulls. And I know that now that I pointed it out, it's going to be a thing, but it was running so smoothly, I had to say something. Hold it. We're better than that. I recommend a healthy dose of a Kevin Smith movie for everyone this evening. I am watching Dogma before I go back to my Power Rangers grind. And remembering right now that I have to take out garbage when I'm done because garbage comes in the morning. So if anyone is actually watching live and can remind me when I'm getting off, it would be appreciated because I might forget because I have a tendency to overserve myself on this show. It is a good one. Surprisingly, no coughing fit. I thought that one had me. I don't know if you can notice the white smoke that went up to just fuck myself, but it definitely did right there at the end. There was like a nice fat chunk of white that came through, and ooh, I still feel it in my soul a little bit. This bowl, I'm trying to make sure that I get better at completing bowls when I'm doing the show, because I'm like, yeah, let's smoke, and then I end up taking a bunch of dabs, which I'm sure is less universal. So when I start a bowl, I'm trying to make sure that I finish it. But I also don't smoke that much weed that often, so I don't have too terribly much. Y'all are going to make me go to the dispensary again way sooner than I need to be. I say y'all, knowing full well no one has given me that note, and no one was going to give me that note. But it helps for me to blame my problems on disembodied use guys rather than myself. That being said, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Felt like a good time for that joke. I love Powerade Zero because Gatorade Zero sugar is not 0 calories. And while there is a 50-calorie give while you're fasting to take before you takes your body out of actual ketosis, which I'm nowhere near anyways right now, but almost into the catabolic fasting range. So you get 50 calories a give, and why waste it when there's the good 0 calorie product out there? If anyone else does intermittent fast and wants to talk about it, throw something up in the comments. What do you guys drink during your fast? What's your beverages of choice? As I said in the first couple episodes, I do really enjoy the Mountain Dew Game Fuel Zero as an energy drink, because I feel like bangs are probably destroying my system, both of which have 0 calories. Powerade Zero, coffee with stevia, and water. Lots and lots of water. And let me know longest fast you've ever done. I did 74 hours, and I could have went longer, but it was my first time doing it, and I was like, I should probably eat at this point. I'm in no way saying the fasting is for everyone. Just interested to know if anyone else does it. I got a ton of fat to burn, so it's good for me. Helpful. It did again. There's just Alan Rickman on my screen, so that's why I keep looking over, because catching Alan Rickman out of the corner of my eye is very exciting, and it makes me ready to see more of him. So, what a loser. I know. I don't care. I've been called worse. I've been called worse way more frequently. It's a small one. We're going to see if we can zero it. A little bit. That's what makes the camera good, because it picks it up more than the eye. So if it would have been a true zero, would have looked really neat. Instead, if I wasn't looking at the camera and there had been just a little bit less smoke, would have definitely thought that I did it. Mm-mm-mm. Well, I hope everyone is having the little moments in quarantine as we are finishing up this bowl finally. Having the little moments in quarantine that are making it just a little bit more worth it. Last 2 days would make any day of mine worth it, let alone quarantine. Being able to meet Kevin Smith, him remember me from the AKA, get the amazing picture with him and Jay in front of that sign, get to eat a meal in a movies, go to the drive-in that I've always enjoyed going to and see them do a show, have the show be a good considerable amount about one of the towns close to where I live, and get to hear an amazing announcement and watch a fantastic scene that will be in an upcoming project. I don't know what's officially announced and not announced, so it's probably all been announced, and I'm being cautious for nothing, but I'm also really ripped. But got to see an amazing scene in something. Well, a recreation / table read of a scene, and everything all together. Like, everything as an individual event is fantastic as is. And the fact that these all happened within 2 days of things, and then I have this amazing merch from them, half signed or more signed than not. It's a good day. If I was a touch more like Kevin, I probably would have started crying there. Damn, I wish I knew where my script was, because I have a little clerk script that I could have shown off in my little card, but my stoned ass will probably forget to ever shown to you, so maybe I'll go back and review footage, but that sounds like time that I should be watching Power Rangers for the other podcast right now. So, well, thank you everyone for coming out to another episode of A Token Guide to Surviving the Apocalypse. quick little commercial. Make sure to check out the podcast if you're interested in geeky shit. I submerge myself in geek culture in my podcast, which you can find in on my Facebook, facebook.com/barelyallen93, BARELYALLEN93. I post every time there's a new episode of this and every time that there's a new episode of my podcast, Barely Allen's Comic Book Cove. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can find it on Overcast, Anchor.fm, Barely Allen's Comic Book Cove. Barely Allen, all one word. Again, BARELYALLEN''S, Comic Book Cove. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. I submerge myself into some random geek culture. Lately, it's been Power Rangers, and I've been doing a season a day normally. Have not broadcast the past 2 days with the events that I had going on and some other personal circumstances. But make sure to check that out. It's enjoyable. I'm actually not hating it, which is surprising because I definitely figured by this point, I just finished season 8, I believe, and I'm on to Time Force. I figured I'd be tired of it by now, and I'm really not. I'm kind of enjoying most of the stories. I definitely got some stuff to say about the last season that I finished. I'm very excited to record that episode because I got some beef, but it's been a lot more positive than I figured it would be. And the title that I started using for the series, which is PPPR, Poorly Produced Power Rangers, kind of doesn't seem to fit anymore the way I've been feeling about it. But anyway, high-ass rambling from a stoned-ass man. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you for coming by and helping make my apocalypse a little bit better. I enjoy you guys helping me get through it just as much because I have so much fun doing this. And if I can ever monetize off of it, cool. But it's just a lot of fun making this video. And I hope that there's 5 other people that enjoy this and have fun with it because I like something to smoke along with. So I went by chef rules. If the chef likes it, the people are going to like it. Anyway, our motto in the apocalypse for today is to just keep smoking. Just keep smoking. The election's almost over. If you smoke hard enough, it'll be done by the time you wake up. You won't have to hear anything else about it anymore. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I may have to try for that. But just keep smoking. And until next time, keep your heads down out there. It's getting a little ugly.